Ho! What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's Waterfowl Wednesday, and today we're going to be talking about what to do if you can't get on the X and some scouting tools. So stay tuned, because Waterfowl Wednesday starts right now. What's up, guys, and welcome back to this week's Waterfowl Wednesday. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about the X, but more importantly, what to do if you can't get on the X. And I'm going to be going over some scouting tools that I use, and hopefully you're using them too. If not, you'll learn about them today in this video. But before we get into this week's video, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And if you like this week's video, hit that thumbs up button for me. It really helps me out a lot when you do that. Now, I figured this would be a good time to go over this video because I'm leaving in 2 days, headed to Nebraska. Me and Cade and a friend of mine here locally where I live, we're going to be headed up to Nebraska for a whole solid week of duck hunting. And we're going to be using all of the tools that I'm going to go over in this video. Now, let's start with the X, okay? That is where everybody wants to be. That is the #1 location that you want to be hunting every time you go duck hunting. But in reality, you just can't always get on the X. Sometimes the X is not on public land and it's on private, and just, you know, it's at a location that you don't have access to. And that happens a lot for us public land hunters. So what you do in that situation is you identify the X, and then you watch that spot, you watch that hole, you watch the birds coming in, and you watch the birds going out. Then you try to identify the roost and the loaf or rest, whichever you want to call it. I call it the loaf, you may call it the rest. But once you get those 3 locations identified, watch the X or the feed. Watch where the birds come from when they come there, and watch where they go when they leave. And that's called the flight route, their flight route. And that's where you want to put your blind and make your setup. You want to be directly underneath that flight route. If you cannot get on the X, that would just greatly increase your odds of having a successful hunt if you can get directly under that flight route, because then you know that those traffic birds are going to be flying right over your spread. And most likely when they leave the feed, when they leave to go rest or loaf, they're going to fly right over the top of you, and they're going to see your decoys and your motion down there, and they're going to think, hey, there's my buddies, they're down there loafing, they're down there resting, and they're going to most likely give you a look, work your spread, and hopefully will present you with a shot. And you know, while you're looking for the X, what I'll be using and what you should be using too is a pair of binoculars. Now, I've got a pair here. I've actually got 2 pairs that I'm going to show you. These are mine. These are the Vortex Optics. These are 10 by 42, and these are called the Crossfires. Now, they make several different ones. They've got the Diamondbacks, they've got the Crossfires, they've got I think some Vipers, I think they're called. But these are really, really, really nice binoculars. This is what I'll be using when I'm watching the birds going in and out of the feed. And I'll be scouting all locations. I'll be scouting the loaf with this. All the scouting I'm going to do will take place through this right here. Because you don't want to, scouting is not going out there and flushing birds and saying, oh yeah, I found them over there on such and such marsh. I walked out there the other day and about 15 dozen got up. That's not scouting, guys. You don't want to do that. You want to do it like this. Binoculars, glass the area, watch the birds, pay attention to the times, pay attention to the directions they're coming from, where they're coming from, which way they're going when they leave, things like that. But this is what I'll be using as a pair of Vortex Optics binoculars. Now, of course, Cade will be with me, and Cade has got a pair of Leupold binoculars. Now these are very nice binoculars. These are also 10 by 42s, and they're called Leupold Timberlines. Very nice binoculars, very clear glass. I love these binoculars. I bought these for him. I was actually going to get him a pair of the Vortex binoculars too, but they were sold out when I went to get him a pair, and they were sold out online as well. So I ended up going with the Leupold, and I'm glad I did. These are very, very nice binoculars, and he'll be using these, doing the same thing that I am. I may be looking at one spot, he may be turning a different direction, watching birds somewhere else. So the more eyes you can put on the X or your traffic birds and scouting locations, the better the information you'll get and you'll have to be more prepared for your hunt. Now, the other thing I'm going to be using is my cell phone. I'm going to be using my cell phone, and what I'm going to be doing on that is I'm going to be using the onX Maps app, and I'm going to be marking locations and making notes on that app. If you don't have the onX Map app, I encourage you to get it. You don't have to use the onX. I know some people use Base Map, and I think there's a couple other apps and platforms out there that are very similar, but personally I like the onX Maps app. And like I said, I'll be dropping waypoints at the feed, at the loaf, at the rest, where I'm going to place my blind, where I saw the birds at. All of these things I'll be documenting in this app, and I'll have that with me throughout the entire time I'm in Nebraska, and I'll also be using it here. I mean, I didn't just get this app for Nebraska. I use it here for fishing, hunting, everything. I use it for everything. If I want to know who owns a piece of property, I pull up the onX Map because it tells me all that information. So I encourage you, if you don't have these tools, if you don't have some good binoculars, check the description. Go down there, pick up your pair of binoculars. I'll put the link down below. Go down there and pick those up. Check them out. You won't regret it. They're very nice. And just like I said, when you're doing your scouting, pay attention to that. If you can't necessarily get on the X because it's on land that you don't have access to, if it's on private property, that's all well and good. I mean, sometimes that's just how it is for people like us who hunt public land. Don't get discouraged about it. Just start locating the birds, where they are, where they're going, and if you can't get on the loaf, if you can't get to the rest, just make sure you pay attention and identify the flight route, and that's where you want to get, underneath there. If nothing else, at least they're flying over you, and if you got birds flying over you, working over you in the area, that's a lot better chance of having a successful hunt than sitting in a location where there's no birds flying over at all. So put these tips to practice this upcoming season when you're doing your scouting and you're getting ready for a hunt coming up. I think you'll have a lot better hunt and you'll have a lot better results in the field. And that's all I got for you this week, guys. So until next week, y'all bust them up.